So there's your self-wicking 5-gallon bucket that'll grow 1 pepper plant all summer long. Well, what's up guys? This is Daniel from Arms Family Homestead, and a couple weeks ago you guys saw me post a video about these self-wicking tubs, and I've had just a plethora, just a whole world of questions and comments and concerns. That video's got over 250,000 views. These self-wicking tubs, I'm not gonna claim that this was my idea. I promise you, this was all 100% from Leon Sloan, a good friend of mine here in Kingston. He's the guy that built my high tunnel, and it's just a great idea. So Leon's got a channel. I'll leave a link to it in the description box down below, and I'll put a little card up here. Leon's got about 15-20 videos, and he's been doing a ton of information on how to build self-wicking tubs and why you should build them, how to fertilize them, anything you could imagine about self-wicking tubs. But there's been a ton of questions. A lot of people said, first off, why would you want to grow in those tubs when you have a huge greenhouse and raised beds, or you can go outside in the garden? Well, first, not everyone has all this, so I'm trying to show you guys a way that you could do something on a small scale on your patio. You may not have a garden, you may not have room for one. You could do this anywhere, okay? The second most common question is, where in the world did you get those red containers? What are they? How do I find them? Can I buy them online? These are molasses protein tubs from cattle and horse farms. This is what's left over, so they come full of a protein molasses mix for cattle and horses. I buy them for my sheep and goats, but they're a little smaller. Goats, I don't have sheep. Dutch has sheep, but they're sheep and goat tubs. They're a little smaller, but it doesn't matter what kind of container you use. As long as it's a solid container with some tall sides, you can use a round tub. You could use small trash cans. You could buy some plastic totes from any box store that are rectangle, square, round. It doesn't matter. The color doesn't matter. The shape doesn't matter. You just need a container without any holes in it, okay? So if you're interested in how I built these, go check out that video. Probably already seen it. But a lot of people have a hard time finding containers like this, and they want to know what else they can build them in. So today we're going to build a couple out of a 5-gallon bucket. You can buy these at any hardware store, or just get a 5-gallon bucket anywhere. And we're not going to put the irrigation pipe in the bottom. I've got a coffee can in this one. So in the bottom of all these tubs, I use this French drain pipe. You can see it's perforated. A lot of people had a hard time finding that stuff. So we're just going to build out of 5-gallon buckets and common things that most anybody can find just about anywhere. So our main goal here is to build a self-wicking container that is self-watering, basically, so you don't have to water it every day. If you just took a 5-gallon bucket, drilled holes in the bottom, filled it up with soil, and put your plant up here, it's going to dry out almost on a daily basis. If you water it from the top, all that water is just going to rush straight out the bottom, and you're going to lose about 90% of your water. So what we're going to do, first thing, very important, is we need one drain hole. And I'm going to be putting a very expensive Maxwell House coffee container, empty coffee container, this is plastic, in the bottom of this. So we want, our main goal, we need airspace. So if we just dumped all our soil in here and we didn't have anything to hold air, our roots would rot. So we're going to use the Maxwell House container inside the 5-gallon bucket to hold airspace. So as you can see, the Maxwell House container is probably about 5 inches tall. So we're going to drill one weep hole right here, or one seep hole, or one drain hole in this, about right there. You can see this is super precise, guys, super precise now. There you go. There's where our water will escape. Now we've got to be able to get water and air transfer through our container, so I'm going to drill a hole at the bottom. I'll actually probably put a couple holes around the bottom. It's a great drill bit, isn't it? It won't go through a Maxwell House container. I think it's time for a new drill bit. So there's one hole at the bottom, and we're going to put a hole up here near the top. Super complex. So there's our drain hole. As you can see, our container is going to be above the drain hole. So we're just going to drop that in the bottom. Now I've seen, if you'll go check out Leon's channel, you'll watch, this guy builds these things out of anything you could imagine. Empty milk jugs, empty Tide jugs if you clean it out. You just need something that's going to hold some airspace so you can air prune those roots. Now with these containers, a lot of people were having a hard time finding good landscape fabric. We're not even going to put the landscape fabric in there. So we're just going to stand our coffee can in there like that. Our drain hole's here. And this has got holes where when the water comes in, it fills up inside this. And then we'll pack soil all the way around and use that soil as our wick. One very important thing to remember, I'm not just using dirt from the ground. This is potting mix that I bought from Leon Sloan. He sells it in bulk, but you could use pretty much any kind of potting mix. Add in some compost, but don't just go out in your garden and shovel up dirt from the ground, because it's just not the same. It's going to compact and get hard. This stuff has a lot of organic material in it, organic matter. You can see there's still a lot of stuff in here, that coconut coir, pine bark, a lot of good stuff that's going to wick water up through that bucket. One other thing I'm going to add before I fill my container with soil is my PVC pipe, so I can fill the bucket. I'm just going to put my PVC pipe in here, and I'm actually going to cut a hole in that coffee can lid and just run my pipe down into that directly. With the self-wicking tubs, all Leon really ever does is put them in the side, but he's got his landscape fabric in there to kind of create that water well at the bottom that's going to hold water up to that drip hole. But I'm going to go ahead and put this pipe directly in this Maxwell House container lid, just so we have a way to get water straight to the bottom. So there you go. It's going to look something like that. And just cut a hole just as tight as I could to fit around that PVC pipe so that the soil wouldn't fall in there and fill up my coffee container. So let's get this filled about halfway full of soil, and then we'll add some fertilizer. So in order to get this bucket off to a good start, we're going to use two different kinds of fertilizer, and this is what Leon recommends. So this is called evaporated sea mineral. It's just it's got tons of micronutrients, so it's basically just seawater that's evaporated, and you got all the minerals. We're just going to add a little bit of that. And then this is called Sustain, that is like composted turkey litter. So you got composted turkey feathers, manure, all kinds of stuff, but it's an organic fertilizer. If I can find them on Amazon, I'll try to leave a link to these. A lot of people were having problems on my self-wicking tub video because they had sold out. I guess a lot of people were buying this stuff, but I'll try to leave a link to this stuff in the description box down below. So in the big tubs, Leon adds half a cup of Sustain and a quarter cup of sea mineral. So we're gonna basically just cut that in half, a little bit less. I probably put less than 1/8 of a cup of sea mineral, and you can see just a good handful of the Sustain. This stuff is not going to burn our plants, but we're going to make sure that fertilizer's down in the soil really good, so it's not all just up at the top. Now I noticed on Leon's, he's also added in some lime, and he also added in a little bit of Epsom salt. So whatever you, just practice, play with it. Whatever works for you, whatever kind of fertilizer you use. Don't get too technical on this, guys. Just keep it simple. So got our fertilizer down deep, got our irrigation pipe in here, and I'm just going to fill this on the rest of the way up. Here we go. Now that bucket's ready to plant. I'm probably gonna put one pepper plant in this just to see how it does. We'll grow that one pepper plant in here all summer and see how well it does. I've never grown in these. I have in the tubs, but we're gonna try it in 5-gallon buckets. So we've got one little jalapeno plant. We're just gonna plant right in the middle of this bucket, and then we'll water him in really well. And as we fill, the first couple times we'll water up here at the top, because obviously this soil hasn't been fully saturated, so it can't wick water up just yet. It's going to take a little while. We want to water him in really, really well the first couple times. And then every few days, a couple times a week, we'll come in and fill this reservoir from our PVC pipe right here, and that will send water down into this reservoir. And the reason we drilled that hole in the top of the coffee container in there is because we want to keep air in there. We've got an air gap. There's an air gap of about maybe an inch or so from the top hole in that coffee container inside to where our little seep hole is right here. This is just an overflow. So I had a lot of questions, concerns about people that were doing this outside that weren't under plastic. So if it rains, you could get 4 inches of rain and fill this thing up with water. It's all gonna drain out of that little hole right there, just like it will in these tubs. Now the only difference you're gonna have if you're not under plastic is if you get a lot of rain, you gotta remember that's gonna continually wash your nutrients out. Your fertilizer is gonna dissolve and come out your little weep hole down here. So if you get a big rain and it washes all your fertilizer out, obviously you're gonna have to feed this plant, because unlike growing in the soil, this guy's very contained. He doesn't have a lot, so we're gonna have to feed this plant. So there's your self-wicking 5-gallon bucket that'll grow 1 pepper plant all summer long, and I'm excited to see how well it produces versus the other plants in the bigger tubs and peppers that are gonna be grown in my raised beds. So I'm excited about it. Guys, you can go build these things really easy, very inexpensively with a lot of stuff you have laying around. And like I said, go check out Leon's channel. It's called Gardening with Leon. The guy is brilliant when it comes to gardening. He has more knowledge in his pinky finger than I'll ever have about gardening. The guy's amazing. So go check him out. He's been posting quite a few videos lately. And it's just great content. I love it. So how about that? Well, there you have it. 3 5-gallon bucket self-wicking containers. There's our pepper plant on the end. I put 2 collard greens in this one. And this little guy here, he's a little bitty, but I'm just using this bucket to pot this up temporarily and grow a few months in this. But this is a moringa plant. I've never grown moringa, but it's supposed to be extremely, extremely healthy, good for you. And we'll use the leaves in our juices and maybe salads or something. I don't know, I've never grown moringa, but I'm just potting him up until he gets nice and big, and we'll move him into probably one of those self-wicking tubs there, so has a lot more room to grow. But guys, as I said earlier, the goal here is just to show you other ways that you can grow your own food. Is this necessary for me? Do I need to grow food in 5-gallon buckets? No, absolutely not. And I understand that. I've got plenty of room to grow things, but I love experimenting. I love learning new things. I love trying new things. And then it allows me to share it with you guys and hopefully inspire a few people to get out and grow something. If you've got some 5-gallon buckets, a bag of potting soil, like I said, don't use garden dirt, use potting soil, potting mix. Some basic things, and you can be growing healthy food on your patio or next to your window in your house, whatever it is. Just get out there, grow some of your own food. And another goal here is just trying to grow more food with less work. And one thing that really helps me do that is my irrigation. So I don't have to come out and water every day. That's one of my goals here. Having that water reservoir in the bottom of the tubs will allow you to go several days without having to water. Now, one thing I do personally is drip irrigation. So like on my raised beds here, all these are radishes and beets and some there's some bok choy and spinach down there that's coming on. But you can see the drip irrigation. I love a drip system. Drip irrigation is probably the biggest time saver for me in my garden, and I'll show you why. Not only does it water the plants right where they need to be watered, I can set up my drip irrigation system, and then I can put a timer on my water hydrant. This is a digital timer. I haven't put it out yet. Been waiting for all the cold temperatures to get by because I don't want to freeze this little guy. But this screws onto my water hydrant, and then the water hose screws on here, and it's a digital timer. So let's go hook that up, and I'll show you how I can water my entire garden without ever even walking out of the house. Or I can water my entire garden while I'm at work. So how does this thing work? I mean, it's just the digital timer, just like if you had irrigation in your yard, to water your grass, which I don't do because that's a waste of water. So basically, I just get to turn my water on and leave that on all the time. And this is a digital timer. You see right now it's on. You can hear it. So I'll just turn it off. And with this being digital, it allows me to set which days of the week I want to water, what time of the day I want to water, and how long I want it to water. So my water hydrant is always on. I just set this, and then if I come outside and I need to water, if I just need to fill up some buckets or hand water, I'll just turn it on. Simple as that. So this one little tool right here saves me hours and hours and hours of hand watering throughout the year. This just runs straight to the high tunnel. It's tied into just a little configuration where I can turn on I leave on a valve to leave my drip irrigation turned on, and then I can flip a switch or flip a valve, and turn on a water hose to hand water, whatever I need to do. This is kind of the hub of it all. This right here, if you're a gardener, watering your garden, if you say you use a sprinkler, you're watering the whole garden, you're watering all the grass, all the weeds, everything. Drip irrigation puts the water where it needs to be, and a digital timer to where it can come on at 6 a.m. while you're still at home in bed or drinking your cup of coffee, and you come outside a couple hours later and the garden's been watered. Time saver deluxe. And that's what this is all about. Saving time, saving you work. And that's the biggest drawback for most people in gardening is they say, I just don't have the time to grow a garden. I don't have the time to get out there and do what you do. And my goal is to show you guys ways that you can put less time into this stuff and still reap the benefits, still get all that amazing, awesome food that you're growing in your garden. So anyways, guys, that's all I've got for today. Oh, by the way, that digital timer right there, I will leave a link in the description box. I just buy those on Amazon. I think they're like 30 bucks and they last a couple years. Takes a little 9-volt battery. When the battery goes dead, pop a new one in there. But I'll leave a link in the description box down below to that, and the fertilizers and things. You can all find that in the description box down below. Guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Y'all have a great day. And as always, we'll see you on the next video.